Divyavani, Samskrita radio. So he's been one of my pillars of inspiration for me, and he keeps being a mentor and a guide, and we work closely with some similar projects, and he's actually on the schedule to be a keynote for the ISCLS, but he might do it digitally because of some other commitments. He's very in demand. So we have around 45 minutes, but I might need more time. I have about 100 slides. I'm going to go quite rapidly. Some of our team are here. We have Svetlana, Sashka, Petr. Aurelia was my neighbor, also inspired me to live in this beautiful community. And a few others might come. Devan, who we collaborate with, and Sampad, we've been working with. And yeah, I just want to thank you, Sampad, for organizing this. It's very important to do this kind of Sammela. We are doing something also, but it's digital, it's a marriage. Actually, when we did the signage, the designer said it looks like a wedding invitation. And I said it is a wedding, it's computation and Sanskrit getting married together, because they have to just doing the mic for the video recording. Okay, so this is gurucāra. So gurucāra in the exact sciences of Jyotish, which was one of the Vedangas, this is the cycle of Guru, Brihaspati, the Graha. And it's roughly 12 years. We're doing this journey of Shri together. It's an amazing journey. And traditionally that gurucāra was the time you needed to master something. But as all of you know, as you're all Sanskritists, in 12 years, you just take the first pada, the first step of the journey. And it's been an amazing journey of the most incredible people and the most incredible work. And I'm going to take you into a deep dive into what we've been doing. Some things might be new for you, Sampad, so hold on to put your seatbelt on. This is the Shri logo. It's called Sanskrit Research Institute. The mother always used to have a playfulness in naming anything. And it's an acronym, Sanskrit Research Institute, but it's also the sound Shri, which means glorious or splendid. And we have the Simha there. I'll give a prize if anyone knows why we have a lion in our logo. Who got eaten by a lion? Panini. Why did Panini get eaten by a lion? Because when the lion roared, he didn't run away. All of his students ran away. He focused on the nada, the sound. And this is why we are focused on the sound of Sanskrit. It's a divine sound. This spandana, Sampad does this beautiful spandana workshop every few, I think yearly, annually. And this was one of our inspirations, the divine vibration. So I just apologize first. I usually spend a week to prepare any presentation, but this was done in just 1 hour. And the reason is we have been working on, for 1 year, our team have been working. What we wanted is we wanted Auroville to be an exemplar of a very high gathering, Sammela of great sages, of rishis. This is what Auroville was designed for. Many people are doing it in other spheres, and we want to do it in the sphere of Sanskrit. So between 15th to 17th here, and if anyone would like to attend and participate, please let me know. We are doing this international. People are coming from about 10 countries. It's a Sanskrit, the marriage of Sanskrit and computer science. So this is why I've not prepared to the level I want to, but I think you will still be happy. And then this is our organization, as somebody introduced, and we're under Saya, and of course we are under Auroville. So this is the where we are, and you know where we are. And of course, I think many of you are familiar with Auroville. It's this incredible gathering of people from 60 countries. I've traveled to 65 countries, and I never saw a place like Auroville in my journeys around the world. There is nothing like it, and we need to make this project. The mother wanted to have many Aurovilles. This is the subject of another discussion. She told Kirit Joshi to duplicate Auroville, and I'm inspired by this Auroville. I think we've done something amazing, and I think we will continue. The next 60 years are going to be incredible. Sanskrita is very close to the Hridaya, the heart of Auroville, because both Sri Aurobindo and the mother have, through their consciousness, they have channeled Sanskrit through themselves. Sri Aurobindo has written poetry in Sanskrit, and they have both said it is one of the languages, we could say national languages, or let's say one of the official languages of Auroville. And not just that, it is a language that mother wanted everyone to learn. So this is a quote of the mother: Sanskrit ought to be the national language of India. And Sri Aurobindo saying the mass of Sanskrit literature, which is something we're going to touch upon. Sanskrit gave you a hint about New Catalogus Catalogorum. It is the literature of human life. That means the totality of everything that humans are. You will find, and Sampad, who he reads from very diverse subjects, you can ask him about anything, he will say, it's in this Shastra, it's in this Shastra. There's even a veterinary science for elephants. Everything is covered. They didn't leave anything out. Every subject you could think of, you will find a framework there. Ayurveda we now have Anil Srivatsava coming to the ISCLS. He is taking Ayurvedic yogas and doing cancer research on this very seriously with the national cancer bodies in America. So it's very much ahead of its time, this body of knowledge. And this is an illustration of our team. We have an office in Orelek for more than 15 years now, in one office. And this is where we are based. This is what it looks like. It's just an office, but we do many other things. We use Oroville as the greater campus, like we are doing the conference here. And we've had 42 volunteers from 12 countries, and this shows you Sanskrit is really having a global appeal, and we do digital Sanskrit. This is our speciality. Also education, similar to Sampad. And what I've noticed, and this is something that I'm sure all of you, because you're already students or scholars of Sanskrit, once you start working with Sanskrit, you can't really leave it. It's like it bites you. You don't sleep at night. It's like being in love, basically. You become cold sweats. And Ramanath Sharma, he was my Vyakarana Panini teacher. He always said, you can break any rule if it's for Sanskrit, basically. So this is, I just took from the website, but some of the members are here. Devi Priya, she's out of station now, Sashka, myself, and some new members, and some of the team with the ISCLS. Kumud is there doing the design. I actually am doing the least. The team is really the heart of this project. And when I say team, it's an international team. When Mother said human unity, I experience human unity through Sanskrit daily. It is actualized in our work. I see the devotion, I see the bhakti. I've never worked in such an incredible place as Oroville for doing this kind of divine work. So thank you to the team. I just want to say thank you. And then the field, the Desha and the Desha, where we are. Oroville is the most incredible project. I have seen a lot of the world. It has so much creativity. It has so much support. It is a real Vrindavan. You go to Vrindavan now, near to Delhi, and you don't find the forest that Krishna wrote about. You don't find the depth of nature, but you do find this in Oroville. So this is a very important place for people doing research to exist. And in the Oroville Charter, Mother has told us to bridge the past and the future. Sanskrit is from the past, but it is very futuristic. And also it is a place of material and spiritual researchers. So this is the domain and the inspiration. These two aspects of the Charter of Oroville have inspired Sri and all the works that we do. So this is in the context of doing it. So just very briefly, my journey, I was the son of a physician. I was going to become a doctor, but I got bitten by Ayurveda, Ayurvidya. Ayu, they translate as life, it's not, it's lifespan, that's the long life. And Mother also spoke of a youth that doesn't age, and Ayurveda is the key to inspire us to unlock that youth that never ages. And when the whole environment becomes satmya, when it nourishes every aspect of you, through the vibration, through the association, through the food, through the earth, you can do much higher service and greater work. And this was basically the idea of Oroville. It's a genius beyond genius, basically. So I went to study Ayurveda, and once you start studying Ayurveda, eventually you're going to read Charaka Samhita. And once you read Charaka Samhita, you're kind of bitten by, because it never ends. Charaka has an answer for everything. And actually Sashka and myself, we have worked, I'll show you very briefly one of the Charaka projects. Actually, we did many projects inspired by Charaka. And you all probably know, because you're all great linguists, Char Dhatu means to roam around, to move around. And Charaka was a name of, it was a metaphor for someone who roams around and gets knowledge from everywhere. So you're not dogmatic in one particular type of knowledge, but there's a spring of knowledge in every corner. And this was my inspiration. This is why, allopathy has its place, and all of the pathies have their place, homeopathy and everything. But Ayurveda, it's not a dogma. It gives you a framework of thought. And then you can hang any idea on that framework. For example, now I go to many regenerative medicine conferences, which are bleeding edge Harvard scientists, and I understand what they're saying in the Ayurvedic framework. It gives you a way of philosophy of healing, of holism. Sanskrit, of course, needs no introduction, but Voltaire said everything has come down to us from the banks of the Ganges, famously. And Leonard Bloomfield, one of the most famous linguists from America, one of the greatest monuments of human intelligence. And most people don't realize, because of various layers of empires, but the geographical span goes from Iran to the Philippines. You will find Sanskrit epigraphy in the Philippines, and you will find Sanskrit in Iran. And today there's blinkers on because we see national identity, and it blinds out other things. And we're going to talk a little bit about something very close to India, the Maldives. I will talk about the Divehi. I don't know if Daniel's here, but we will talk about his project. So this is basically 7,300 kilometers. What is the circumference of the world? It's maybe a third. What is it, about 20,000 around the world? I'm not a geographer, but I think it's around. So this is almost a third of the world. It's got a massive geographical span. The thing that keeps a lot of us very busy for the last many years is the quantity of written literature in Sanskrit. Most people do not know that before Gutenberg, before we started to have mass printing on demand, the largest corpus in any language ever in the history of humankind was in Sanskrit. And it's so large that people argue about how much it is, because it's so impossible to quantify. And we've been working, Sashka knows, maybe 5-6 years on just this subject. Firstly, manuscripts don't last that long unless they're in a cold and dry place, as those of you who work with manuscripts would know. So Sheldon Pollock, all of you would know, the great Indologist, has said it's between 7 and 30 million. Actually, he said over 30 million, sorry. And the National Mission on Manuscripts in Delhi, they have a conservative view of 7 million. It is a massive number. You will find, this is how much you'll find in Greek comparatively. This is Greek, that's Latin, which is great. That's called classics. That's Western civilization in terms of the literature. And this is the larger estimate of Sanskrit. So anyone from this Bharata can be very proud of having this. A lot of people forget this. They forget how vast this is. And we're going to talk a bit about that a bit later. I'm going to jump, but basically, I am trained as a computer scientist. I started working with computers as a child, and it's always good if you see all these great tennis players like Djokovic. He started when he was 5 or 6. So if you start something very young, you've got a lot of time. You don't have to do all the adult things and get serious. So when I was 13, for my bar mitzvah, I got a computer, and I was just locked away with computers and music. Those two things occupied me. So we've married, it's called computational linguistics. I'm also a linguist. We work with computer science and Sanskrit. The reason it's amazing is you can do really incredible things with Sanskrit and computation. I'm going to show you some of them. And besides that, it's very useful because Sanskrit is it's an incredibly vast mountain to climb, and it helps to have some help, basically. Sorry, the slide is frozen. So one of the things we did early on, this was around 2010, we've created dictionaries, meta-dictionaries, thesauri, and we've worked on roots. This was something I remember Sampath was very inspired when we showed him many years ago, that you could take a root and see all of the expansions from the root. And we also did word frequency. Our policy with research has been to do what people haven't done. If someone's already done it, we don't duplicate. We just support that project. So for me, this gaveshana, like searching and research, you're finding something that's not yet discovered, or joining like multiple things. So we created this dictionary, and it's a meta-dictionary. What we did is we took as many dictionaries. It was with Devi Priya, and many of our team, Ceci and Mati, have been working on the data side for years. And we also worked with collaboration with Cologne University, with Thomas Melton, the big Sanskrit dictionary project. So we made a dictionary that's a dictionary of dictionaries. And it searches many dictionaries at once. So the famous English to Sanskrit is Monier Williams, but we have put in the Shabda Koshas, which are the traditional ways of learning synonyms in Sanskrit. So, and we've also put in the Dhatu Pata. That is the first dictionary. That is the 2,000 odd roots in Sanskrit, because they have been defined a bit later. And I mean, there are different texts where you learn basically the essence of the dhatus, and the dhatus unfold into the whole language. So I'm going to take you, so currently we have 1 million words, and these are Panini's, the Dhatupata Amarakosha. We've also taken all the contemporary, more than 100 years. Monier Williams, Apte was from Pune, Monier Williams was from Oxford, MacDonald also Europe, and the Sanskrit Heritage Dictionary is from Gerard Hewitt. He's a very famous Indologist and computer scientist who's actually going to be at the ISCLS, so if anyone wants to meet him, he will be here. He's one of the organizers with me. And we also took subject-specific dictionaries. So we've got, because the word, I gave the word of yoga, in Ayurveda it means a combination of herbs, in grammar it means a grammatical rule, and so forth. So it will have a different, and then obviously in the West it just means to do postural yoga, and so forth. So and then we also took some Vedic concordance. So we've got the Vedic, remember the Vedic language, it changed between the classical and the Vedic. So words like Asura, Ratna, they have different meanings in Vedic and classical. Oxford has, the biggest Oxford has got 2.2 lakhs, and we're already on 1 million, and we stopped to focus on other things. We can grow that much more. I'd say we could grow it pretty much infinitely because there's many more sources. But it's 5 times larger than the Oxford Dictionary in unique definitions for words. And one of the things we did earlier is we made Sanskrit accessible to other languages, because if you if you do Sanskrit, usually your texts are in English or German or French or Hindi. So what if you speak Danish? So we partnered with Google for the translate so that you could type a Danish word in and translate it to Sanskrit. So we didn't want to limit people. And we put in a spelling checker. So this is a very big thing for beginners in your first year. Like, you don't know if it's sha or sa, and you don't know if it's na or na, which na, because you've got different sounds that are having different meanings. And so here I was looking for gaveshana, and I just put gave ?A, and I get the answer in the dictionary. And this, actually, when I was a student, in the software industry, we call it dog fooding, where you consume your own software. This is extremely useful when you're studying Sanskrit, because Sanskrit spelling is like Bruce Lee requirement. It's not like, English has got its own nuances. You have to memorize many irrational rules. Of course, if you are a traditional grammarian and you've learned and you're doing the derivations in your head, then you're not even spelling. But most Western scholars don't do derivations real time in their head. And we put in a grammatical search. So, for example, you can search for gajena, and you will see that it's masculine instrumentive singular from the stem of gaja. This is also very useful for students. The other dictionaries, they relied you to understand what form it was in when you found a word in a text, and then to figure out what the stem was and look up the stem in the dictionary. So this is also, a lot of people have really loved this. And we have a correlation between Vedic and the classical Sanskrit. So you'll see the words are changing. So it's not a jewel in Rig Veda as per the Vedic Index of Names and Subjects, but it can be a jewel in later language. So some words, quite a few, quite a big handful of words have changed, and some of the Vedic language is still quite difficult to translate. There's a great Russian scholar who actually she was one of the greatest translators of Rig Veda. Actually, on the Russian side, we have, I think, more than 10 or 12 Russian scholars coming. This is a huge, because Russia was a place of incredible, they have gifted the world so much in Sanskrit, and people kind of don't remember that always, and so it really is touching that we have a very big Russian delegation coming next week. Synonyms. This is one that Robert Svoboda had, Vladimir and Robert Svoboda, they both wrote, like in his book, one of his books about his teacher Vimalananda, who was his Agori guru, he said his teacher used to say there are 96 words for love. And then when I was at the Theosophical Society attending a lecture of Vladimir Yatchenko, who's a scholar from Oroville, and I said, can you name all the 96 words for love? And he started to name, and he got up to 10. And then I said, well, this is the marriage of computers. So I said, let's juice them out of the dictionary. And this took about 9 months, like a normal gestational period for human. But we managed to create something that looks like this. So you can put lion, and you will see 89 words. And Sampad can, as our Purohit can verify that these are, I mean, obviously Simha is the common one, there's Simha, but all of these, and these are mostly Bahuvrihi samasas that were being used in some way, feared by the deer or feared by something, but no one had done this to generate synonyms in real time from lexical data. So we had to do this, and if that wasn't enough, then we translated all the synonyms into 103 languages. So then you could say, oh, well, Sanskrit's Indo-European, it's similar to my language, Icelandic or German, and yeah, it's got the same root, I can see, and you'll see some examples now where this tool, for example, stand. I mean, Afrikaans is my second language. Staan, I mean, come on, it's exactly the same as stādatu. Latin, stare. Latvian, anyone will see, and you see all these stuff. So very quickly, in one view, you quickly see 103 languages which are Indo-European and which are linked to Sanskrit. So in this conference, one of the themes is the global connection of Sanskrit to the world. Well, we did the digital version of this, and it's being used by many people, tertiary, secondary, for Sanskrit. And this is an interesting one. I had a very good friend from Iceland who was studying Jyotish, and he knew quite a bit of Sanskrit, and he always told me samband was the word for relationship. This is an abstract idea, relationship. It's not a noun of common like a chair or elephant. And if you put relationship, well, it's the same. You have sambanda and you have sambandi in Icelandic. Why did it stay the same in Icelandic? Because it's an island, and we're going to talk about islands just now with the Maldives. Basically, islands don't get bothered. No one bothers you on an island because you got to cross the ocean to get there. So the language stays more intact. Linguistically, it has less contact. So this was fun. We did the word net. We also brought the word net into the dictionary. So if I'm not going to go too much detail into what it is, but this is basically done so that you can see synonyms. It's similar to the Shabdakoshas, but more scientific. It's been done in all languages, and it's been done in Sanskrit now. This is the one that I remember showing to Sampad, and he was wow, which meant a lot, and it gave us some wind in our wings. And so I'm not demoing any of these real time. I'm just taking you through the slides. We don't have enough time because it would take an extra 2-3 minutes, and I have 100 slides, more or less. So here you can go to all these URLs. You can take a picture, but basically you can take a root, and it will then start strengthening with the guna and the vriddhi, and you will basically see that it is showing you, when you click on that search icon, it will show you words that are beginning with that form. So you can see just from one root how many words have come out of one root. It can be hundreds and sometimes thousands. If you start playing with upasargas, with the prefixes, it goes into any amount. You can even, I was saying when we were naming the conference, I was playing with, you can invent words in Sanskrit and they will make sense. All of the poetry is inventing new words. You'll often see references in the dictionaries first attested to this poet and this poet. So in English, it has to kind of get ratified and accepted, and then Oxford has to say, okay, it's an official new word. But in Sanskrit, you can just make up words, and other people will know once you give the context and the correct form, they will know what you're saying. So in the roots, you can basically then see what is there in Panini, how they were defined. This was called the sense of the root, the meaning, and which class it is, and so forth. So this is called the Root Explorer. It's also out there, and many, many people are using it. One of the things, because I'm very interested in writing systems, it's called Lipi in Sanskrit, I got interested in where writing started in India, because it came quite late to India officially, as per the archaeological record, maybe 2,000 years plus minus. I mean, a few hundred years earlier maybe than that. And I wanted to go back to the original. And if you travel around Tamil Nadu, you will see many inscriptions in Brahmi. And you will go to Tibet and you will see Brahmi. And you'll go to Thailand, you'll see Brahmi. You'll go to Cambodia, you will see Brahmi. You'll go to Sri Lanka. Maldives, until very recently, they changed it to Arabic numerals, but until very recently, and I'll show you that, it was Brahmi. So we were curious to make a dictionary that could output Brahmi. It was not so easy at the time because Brahmi is not so standardized in the Unicode, but we did this. And this is the geographical span. It was from Afghanistan down to Indonesia, you have Brahmic scripts that have been used. So it felt important, especially in the light of Orwell, as this idea of bringing nations together. When we show the unity through writing, through language, it's very hard to fight with each other. Actually, we don't need war. It's an old idea that we should throw away. We just need to all learn about the past and about work towards the future, basically. We did a word frequency tool. This hadn't been done. First, I did a survey to see if it was done. And we used the data from Oliver Helwig. He is an incredible computational linguist in Zurich and Berlin. And this took also about 9 months to do this. A team in Brazil and here were working on it. But basically, you can see the frequency of any word throughout the corpora of Sanskrit. And you can also filter and say, show me the frequency only in the Vedic literature. Show me the frequency only in classical. Show me only in late or Buddhist or epic. And then you can also say by subject, only in Ayurveda. So obviously frequency will change, like in Vedic, Indra, Marut, Agni, they will be like top of the pops. But if you go to Buddhist, then obviously Buddha will be more frequent. But if you want to just see, obviously, over everything, well, the most frequent word is cha and tad. Same as English, na, eva. You know, these very fundamental, actually, words that kids learn first, these are the most frequent. And, sorry? Yeah, to keep it for after, we'll do questions. I want to take you on the Concorde, and then we'll land the plane. 236 countries and territories are using our tools, basically. This is as of over 12 years. So it just shows there's a global interest in Sanskrit. And I remember my professor, he's McComas Taylor, he said he doesn't know why, but it just makes him feel good, Sanskrit. And I think this is something very special to chant and to experience. I know Aurelio does the sound healing, and Sanskrit is a very big part of this. So we did text-to-speech. This was in 2015, I presented this at the World Sanskrit Conference in Bangkok. So you can go after the presentation, but you'll see you can click on the top right on our dictionary, and it will perfectly pronounce all of these words. It's actually as good as any. So this is nice for people in the middle of nowhere, maybe in remote Russia, that don't have access to a teacher. They want to read the dictionary and see exactly how it's pronounced. And it's rendered through what's called a text-to-speech engine. For those who are computer scientists, you'll understand that. So this was the first. The backstory here is CDAC had tried to do this, and then we contacted them, and they said, no, they had just destroyed the project. Often with these very big institutions, you know, it gets a grant, and then it just disappears. And so then we said, okay, we have to do it. And we actually had a Russian programmer do it. It was quite difficult. This is I can do another presentation more technical on our technical, because I'm just showing you the fruits, the falani of what we've done. But the point is that this was not easy to do. That's why it hasn't actually, Google is now doing it for other languages, but Sanskrit is not so, you don't have enough data. You need a lot of data to get it perfect, to get because it's all the combinations of sounds. OCR we have done. This is, I checked just now, we have helped people optical character recognition, so to recognize 1 billion pages of Sanskrit text. And this is free. We've put this in the public domain, and this is over the last maybe 8 years. And there's no charge. And many people, like when this site goes down, I get calls and emails like, please, we're desperate, you know. So this is for digitizing Sanskrit. And we collaborated with Google. Initially, we built our own one with Tesseract, which is an open source system. And then we did a partnership with Google, and we're using the Google machine learning as part of it, but we put it for free. Usually you'd have to pay thousands of dollars per month for this kind of service. And it's hit 1 billion documents, Sanskrit documents digitized. So this is our karma yoga, basically. We made this tool for typing Sanskrit. I would demo it, but the hour's not enough to do demos. So many people use it. Actually now the graphic design team here uses it. I went to the World Sanskrit Book Fair in Bangalore, and I wasn't happy. They had all these ways, like this is the government method, and then someone came up with a keyboard that went I, u. I wasn't happy. I said, you have to stick with QWERTY, but make it intuitive. So we made a system that I found intuitive, and my requirement was that you should be able to learn it in less than 60 seconds. Sashka uses it daily, actually, and all of our team use it. And many students are using this. It allows you to learn in less than 60 seconds to touch type Sanskrit. So as long as you know what sound you want, if it's a short A or a long A, if it's A or A or E or E, or as long as you know, and you know how it is spelt in transliterated Sanskrit, does it have a dot above or below? Does it have a tilde above? Does it have a macron above, like long A? You just type it from top to bottom. So if it's a long A, you just type hyphen A. It's very intuitive, and I should be able to teach someone in 60 seconds. That was our requirement, and it's been downloaded tens of thousands of times, so it's out there. Enjoy it to the world. It's a complete project, and the ship has sailed. We don't have anything further to do here. So Panini, wow. Okay, I have to sit down now. So in my 4th year at university, I could choose a postgraduate subject to focus on, and I decided to focus on Panini. Panini needs 12 years in itself to really master it. And I kind of got obsessed. I was only reading, and I met with Meda Mishka, and I brought Ramanath Sharma here for 2 workshops. We had 2 seminars of almost a week. It was 5 days in the Tibetan pavilion. And I won't say I climbed the top of the mountain, but I started walking on the path. I understand it's a framework, and I understand the genius. Panini is, if I say okay, it's from Pakistan, actually. This is the beauty of Panini, because the town where Panini is in what was Pakistan. What is Pakistan today, sorry. It's a funny word, Panini. Maybe somebody can speak about the word afterwards, because it's like son of a shopkeeper, no? As one from a shop. And so that's why we also use funny names, because it's like shopkeeper now is the greatest grammarian ever to live. It makes you realize that don't get egoistical that just the big gurus have the knowledge. Simple people can acquire them through effort, through their hard work. Abhyaso nahi chaktavyo, like this practice, So basically we decided to embark on a journey of Panini, and it resulted in the fruits of the Panini research tool, which is used by many, many people who are studying Panini. So what I did is I consolidated everything out there on Panini into one. It was like a programmer's reference. So you could go 111, and you would basically see everything. We got permission from many authors. So some was out of copyright, but some like Khatre has given us permission, his estate, and Ballantyne and we made a meta resource on the Ashtadhyayi, and with all the commentaries, like everything, and also with the pronunciation. And this is my biggest, it's like Paul Simon said he heard the postman whistling yesterday. So my professor uses this to teach his classes, and that means that it's done well. It's Samskrita, it's well baked, And huge team. All of these this is a 1-hour talk in itself. We had a team of maybe 8 to 10 people working for a year, just collecting data. It's like the production in New York. You go watch the play, but you don't see the 9 months where all that's like now. We are working for 1 year on the ISCLS. It's already 1 year we're working on it to put on 3 days of symposium. So I told you Ramanath Sharma. He wrote probably some of the greatest works on Panini. He did a translation of the Ashtadhyayi. He has come. He might come now for the ISCLS. He's now very senior. He just lost his wife, but he really wants to be with us. And he has done, and we've recorded him for 5 days twice. And we made some games, educational games. It's a Sunday game. You can play it. It's on our site. And we've done many references. The DLI Mirror, this is one, Digital Library of India was a library of 32 terabytes of data that the Indian government supported and created, and then it just suddenly switched off one day. It disappeared. Can you imagine? 500,000 books were scanned through universities throughout India, and it just disappeared. And while it was there, I had this thing in my mind, I have to mirror it and save the data, because it could die, and it did die, and then we now are the official site. But we did it slightly better than the government. We made it that you can search inside of every document. They just had a bibliographical search, so you could look for the name. But we used, once again, Google to partner, and you can say there's a text that refers to some special. So this is very useful. I'm also dog fooding this. If you're doing any research into any subject, just type in the word, and you'll be amazed. Sashka, I know, is using a lot for the NCC and daily. Like, the nice thing about the tools is we don't just make them and just release them and forget about them. We use them every day. Whatever we make, we use. I'll just skip Aufrecht for now, because we're already... How much more time do I have? 20 minutes is okay? Okay. I'll skip this one also. I'm going to talk a little bit about the Indo-script poster. Okay, I shouldn't call it Indo-script because we don't know if it's writing or not. But we decided to call it script. We worked with Aksho Papola and there was Dr. Mahadevan. We took all of the great thinkers on this subject, and we didn't make an opinion of what it is. No one actually knows. Whenever someone has a great psychic, like the other day, there was a German gent, and he said his girlfriend was the most famous psychic in Germany. So I said, oh, great. Tell me what the Indus seals was, because this is I call it the test for psychics. If you really are a psychic, you can solve this. What is it? And she didn't want to answer, so fair enough. Maybe it's too secret. But the point is that we don't really know, but I think we're close to it. So what we did is there's 400 unique glyphs in this, and Sashka has worked on this, and many of our team. We had a database from Germany, and we traced them in Coral Draw, and we made a neutral representation of them, because obviously they faded over time, so we needed to try to isolate the idea in the idea graph. And then we just grouped them like a child would group some toys. We just said what looks anthropic, and what looks pescaric, and what looks aviac, like a bird, and what looks numeric. So this was not based on anyone. We just did a grouping. And the third thing we did is we did a weighted of frequency. So green means more frequent, and yellow means less frequent. And suddenly, the data becomes and it's a big poster. It's a huge B0 poster. If you come during the symposium, we're exhibiting it. And suddenly you start seeing things like, okay, well, the number 2 is the 5th most frequent of the glyphs. So what does this tell us? 2 was a very important thing to them because it comes so often. So they could have been writing about Dvaita, or they could have been selling to 2 dogs or 2 goats, or we know they were trading, we know they lived on a river, because it's the Indus River, and we see fish. Number 3 is a fish. So they probably were eating fish. Well, we know they were eating fish, I'm not saying probably. And we see the frequency. So I would say after doing this work, this took us maybe 18 months, and of course we didn't publish a paper, but we just put this out, and we want schools, we've given it's open source, all of our posters are free, they're in the public domain. We have many schools around the world. In England, they print them and they put them up for the kids. I just want people to reflect and meditate on this unsolved mystery. We don't want to guide you on what it is or isn't. And this is the second panel, and you'll see on the bottom of the panel, we show the whole history of the Indus civilization. We also give a map here, showing all the Indus sites. So it gives you this, your mind can start to sort of join the dots. This wasn't done. We also give you an idea of how big the seals are. This is 2 centimeters, they're tiny. So if it was writing, like hieroglyphs, they wouldn't be so small, generally. And we got permission from the British Museum, and we also show the history of writing broadly. So Indus comes here. So already there was writing, a little bit more to the west, and then of course, Brahmi and so forth came later. And this is a meditation. It was an incredible privilege to work with this, and we worked with the greatest minds at the time on this subject. And we just created, I felt it needs to be presented visually, so that you can put it on a wall and everyone can have a copy. We have the PDF, and it doesn't cost much to print it. Put it up in your home and let your kids know that this is your history and heritage, and very important. We did a Brahmi poster. I won't talk too much about it, but this was also about a year of work. And it's to teach kids how to read Brahmi. So I'm saying let everyone, because once you read Brahmi, you'll go to Dharamsala, see the Tibetan and go, hey, I can figure that out. It looks a little bit, or you'll go to Cambodia. So it allows you to embrace the broader Indic civilization and cultures. We did one between Greek and Sanskrit, and we're working on Lithuanian and Sanskrit now. This is our current one. And another one we're working on now. Daniel is our main researcher for the posters. We're working on a history of lipis of Sanskrit, all of the different writing systems for Sanskrit. We are doing a poster. This is in the oven at the moment. We did Tamil and Sanskrit. Now there's the EFEO is hosting the Tamil seminars, the Sangam seminars. anyone who is interested in Old Tamil, the 1,000-year-old form of Tamil, should attend. It's highly recommended. It's under Professor Wieden from Germany. Sashka worked on this with me and Sharanya and many others, fruits of Charaka Samhita. So we wanted to see what they were eating. When I say Charaka, you'll find everything. So what we did is we just wanted to see what they were eating. And Charaka is a little bit naughty here. He ranks them in terms of their medicinal value. So he put grapes at the beginning and then dates and then figs. Now, if you go to PubMed and you look at the research, you will see grapes. I mean, have you heard about the grape cure? You can just go and you go to France. All they do is they charge you thousands of euros, feed you grapes, and you come out healed. Dates, go to the Quran. You will see dates are... So this is incredibly visionary knowledge. It doesn't mean that the other ones were inferior. It's just that he liked these fruits more. You will see, okay, you will see fruits that you recognize here, but you'll also see some that are no longer eaten in India. So this is very important. We wanted kids in India to know what was eaten 2,000 years ago, because what happens with food is the big companies that control the marketing budgets, they will bully you into eating a certain way, and that's not how we should be eating. We should be eating close to Prakriti. It's very important. This is just published about a month ago. It's a collaboration with many universities and also with Kyoto University. They have supported this work. So when one looks at now there's this tussle between India and the Maldives. When you look at the language, when I went there, I realized that they're basically speaking of a dialect of the Sanskritic language. And the more close we looked at this, the more we saw an incredible link. So look here, they are writing in pure Brahmi. And this is still Brahmic, and it's still Brahmic, and then it just changes. This is very recent. About 300 years ago, they changed the script deliberately. But until it's recorded history, around 2,000 years of history, they write in Brahmi. Not just that, if we actually look at the cognates between, so here you can see Anga, and you will see the different forms, how the word has changed over time. So you have the insular Prakrit, you have Divehi Prakrit, you have Old Divehi, Middle Divehi, and Modern Divehi, and you can still see a link. It's Angun and Anga. I mean, this is incredible. So when people are speaking Divehi, even though their religion is Islam, which is great, they have forgotten this link with India, basically. So we worked with Naji Didi, a scholar in Male, and with Professor Joost Gippert, and we've compiled this also for kids in India and the Maldives to see the history. History is very important to see. And we also took the island names. Many of the names are Sanskrit derived. So you'll see many words, and we also put some of the artifacts that were from the Buddhist era. Sanskrit Archive we are working for more than 5 years on it. It has many sub-projects, and it's our largest project. We have a lot of support energetically and people that really want to see it happen. And our idea is to give a single place to explore the extant literature. It's not an easy job because of the size and also the fragmentation of the knowledge. And Sampath has mentioned with a VMLT library, they have supported this work to digitize 42 volumes of the NCC. So in a nutshell, the NCC was 85 years of scholars at the University of Madras, all the greatest minds of Sanskrit who were experts on manuscripts, writing to all of the libraries and all of the kings and all of the private collections and public collections around India, collecting all the catalogues and making a catalogue of catalogues, which was basically a de facto synopsis of what is out there right now at that time. Many of the manuscripts that were mentioned are no more. So this is extremely precious knowledge. The interesting thing about this is Sheldon Pollock wanted to do this. He's very senior now. He tried to do it, but he only got a little bit of the way because it is not easy. We needed support of like a Raja. And the team behind VMLT, they had that power to support us. We actualized it and managed it and implemented. And there was a secret weapon here, which I'm going to show you. This team of women have typed in 42 volumes in Ulur, about 600 kilometers from here, or 6 hours from here roughly. They have typed it in for a year and a half. And we have not found an error in their work. So actually we want to give them an award one day. And there's another secret part of the talk, is that there's a furniture shop in Oroville that looks like just an antique shop. It's really from like a movie. And I always used to just think you can buy wood and antiques there. But Clemens and Popo actually work with Thomas Malton from Cologne University, and this is an Oroville unit that does the digitization. So when we were doing the digitization of the NCC, we were just paying it inside Oroville to an Oroville unit that was a furniture shop. This kind of thing you will only find in India. So it looks like a furniture shop, but they have done some of the greatest Sanskritic works. They're busy working on other projects now with French epigraphy and so forth. A French-funded epigraphical project for inscriptions. So this is and one of the things we could do, and this is one I'll show you interactively, once we had all this NCC data, which our team has worked tirelessly on, many volunteers, Sashka is directing the volunteers, we have many people from around the world say, I want to do something for Sanskrit, and we say, fine, come, and that's that. So this is one of the things that we did. This is a map of where the catalogs are from the NCC and how many catalogs are there. This is India, so we can click on any of these, and you will see, it will show you, there's 82 references to this catalog. So there's 82 manuscripts that are referenced in this catalog. Now we're going up to Kathmandu, and we will see that there's 1,150 manuscripts. So this shows you where the data, and look where it's spread around the world. This is the interesting one. This is contemporary. This is not ancient. This is not Chinese scholars taking knowledge or Tibetan scholars, which is another story. So obviously in Europe we have, and we have in Asia, and we have in the US, these catalogs of Sanskrit literature. So this data was prepared over many months, and we have created this visual representation of it, which is very important. And we're collaborating with Sudha Gopalakrishna, India International Center. Some of you probably know her, on this South Asian manuscript histories and textual archives. Some of our team are working on that actively. So for these sort of mega projects, you need collaborations. You cannot do it alone, you know. Even one, like myself, there's no way you can do much. We need a team in Oroville, and then we work strategically to create partnerships with people who are walking the same path as us. So this is the map. This is all I'll send you all the slides and you can view it. So Dinesh, who I met in the Solitude Farm, and we just got chatting, and I realized he's a genius at maths. And then I said, hey Dinesh, what are you doing in the farm? Come work with Sanskrit. And he came next day. I called his father and got a stipend from his father, and we gave him a stipend, and we fed him, and we gave him a room. And he worked for 1 year. And now he's in a postgraduate degree in US. He's going to be the next Sundar Pichai or Satya Nadella, I am sure. He got 1 year of training. We give the Rishi training. We don't just train in Sanskrit and computer science, but we train in everything, because this is the Rishi way. So they have lessons from Sashka on Dharma, on everything. And it's a very wonderful, intense environment. And he's now doing really well. He's on an incredible trajectory. But he built this NCC browser and tagger that we are, when I say browser and tagger, what we were doing is we were tagging, this is Sashka and Gali and Gauri also, we were tagging the new catalogorum data to make it more useful for the next step that we're going to do with it. So if you explore the data, one of the things we tagged was subject. So we split all the knowledge into 103 subjects. You'll see Library of Congress have their subjects and all that, but these are the subjects of the Sanskrit literature. This is very important for anyone in India. And this was distilled from this 85 years of work of the University of Madras. I was just telling you, so over 85 years, they were collecting all the catalogs, and it was not digital. That's why we had to digitize it. Digitization is critical for this kind of work. And we also did geo and chronotagging. So we would tag, if there was a work and it referred to a place, we would tag it that this work is referring to this place. Or if the author was born in a particular town. So we now have this map which shows you which literature is from where, and you will see there's some Pakistan there. So if you click on it, you will see, we have this ashtar, different grammatical texts. And here, sorry, this is hidden. I have to see which one that is. But you can click on this and see. So here you have the Vishnu Sahasranama, and it's been geotagged where it was supposedly composed. There are often debates about this. It's not a dogma. There's a lot of gray areas. But this was another thing that we did. Once we have this huge, vast ocean of knowledge, we can do this. And we have a gent who is the manager of Wikimedia Foundation for India for the heritage and manuscripts. He will be coming to present at the ISCLS, Satdeep Gill. And we have collaborated. He has trained some of our team on Wikipedia article creation. You'll notice if you look in Wikipedia, it's very biased towards the West. There's very little high-quality data about Indian knowledge systems, and we wanted to fix that. So we said, rather than create a new wiki, let's just join, if you can't beat them, join them. So we're working with them, but we created a high-level collaboration with them. These are the articles we've created already. I'll jump that one. One of the interesting things is once you have all of this Sanskrit data, you can now sort by, when Larry Page and Sergey Brin created Google, the reason that Google stood out from all the other searches is that they had something called PageRank. And PageRank meant how many times something has been referenced externally. It's like, let's say, Aurelio, if 10,000 people know his name, he should be ranked high. I mean, not egoistically, but I'm saying he is more notable than someone who's referenced 100 times. So in the Sanskrit literature, we said if a manuscript is referencing a text, we should rank it higher. So we created this algorithm, and you will see the Bhagavata, Brahma Sutra, Mahabharata, Ramayana, Bhagavad Gita. These are, of course, everyone knows these. Even a 5-year-old in India will know all of these. But you can sometimes discover things that you didn't know about, and we are busy doing the last phase of this. We are just in the final phase of this. I'm almost at the end. This is the top 30. This is the info tagging that I mentioned. This is what we're busy working on a final product, which is the Sanskrit archive. We'll talk about that in the next talk. This is the census of exact sciences in Sanskrit. Exact sciences in this context is mathematics, astrology, and astronomy. There was an incredible American scholar called David Pingree. He spent decades of his life creating the CESS. After the NCC, this is the next most important, and his estate has given us permission to publish it and do a digital version. So I'm collaborating with the University of Canterbury. Here's Satya digitizing it. I think it took a week, Satya. We took a book scanner that VMLT has with assistance, and we scanned the entire thing, and now we've digitized it, and we have a team in Sri Lanka actually doing the verification of it. And one other project we're doing with Leipzig University is Samudhara. This is getting accurate transcriptions of manuscripts. We have more than 1,000 manuscripts that have been transcribed, and we're training the computer vision to recognize these archaic scripts that no one writes in anymore. Because if any of you know, at the EFEO, there was a very senior Tamil scholar. He passed away. And then suddenly they realized no one knows how to read the script that he could read. And this is happening almost every year in India. So computers have to, with the AI revolution now, we have to come up to speed. This is my last 1 or 2 slides. 2019, I gave a lecture at the University of Cape Town. Of course, I learned many languages. I did Latin and Greek and a bit of Persian. And of course, I traveled and lived and learned to speak many languages. And I gave a lecture at the University of Cape Town on Sanskrit. They invited me in their summer school series. And the professors there said, please come help us with the endangered languages of the first people of the world, the Bushmen of South Africa. And I knew nothing about the Khoisan languages, except they have clicks. So they have those sounds and many more sounds. And they are considered the first people of Earth. In other words, everyone in this room came from a first person from South Africa, according to the genetic. And we've taken our dictionary that we built for Sanskrit and we've gifted it to the first people of South Africa as the first people dictionary. They didn't have a dictionary. They suffered the most because everyone persecuted them because they were foragers. No one liked foragers because they would steal the cattle, or they would disturb the farms, or they would disturb the European colonial expansion. And there has been many languages lost, and this is actually an urgency. These are all endangered languages. The one language, Mu, has 1 speaker left. So we've been working very actively with teams there with the University of Cape Town, and we've created the first digital dictionaries that are in the public domain. So this is our gift from, it's not, even though we're in Oroville, and of course Sanskrit is our work, we're giving back to other languages. And yeah, so just the last point on this is there's this incredible book called First People by Andrew Smith. He was an archaeological professor from UCT. This is the first representation of abstract thought, 70,000 years ago. This is in a cave that I've gone to with the university called Blombos Cave. It's on the southeast coast of South Africa. And Chomsky has written this book, Why Only Us? Why are we the only species on Earth that has abstraction? And so it's been a great honor. I always call it from Sanskrit to San. And that's the end of my talk. I'm happy to take questions now. Thank you.